All right, guys, thanks for coming out. This is the Brighton High School Jazz Band, and they're going to be performing a number for you tonight. This is Cruisin' for a Bluesin', and it will feature our saxophone section here, so feel free to holler, hoot, and give them a lot of clapping. And then we also have Mr. Matt Wise back there on trumpet. You'll also be hearing from Cameron Barty on a solo, as well as our drummer over here, Mr. Aiden. So give it up for these guys. This is Cruisin' for a Bluesin'.
good morning. I'm Sophie Jensen and I want to welcome you to the Brighton High Career Fair. We just heard from the Brighton Jazz Band with the director Michaela Mortensen. I hope you're excited because today we'll hear from 3 Brighton alumni. Each speaker will highlight their career path and tell us where they are now after graduating. First up will be Dave Lindsay. He is the producer and director of Avalanche Studios. Following Dave will be Hannah Hilton, Doctor of Physical Therapy. She currently practices at Sandy Physical Therapy Aquatics Health and Rehab. Our last presenter will be Jordan Eisen. He is the Principal Expert Solutions Consultant for Data and Insight Solutions at Adobe.
So I went to Brighton High School. I graduated in 1984. That was almost 40 pounds ago, back when I was a lot thinner. So I'm a little bit older than most of you guys here, and I'm really excited to be back here. It's just so weird having this beautiful new school because I was used to the old brown hallways and all the old school stuff, but this is a beautiful facility, and I'm so excited to be here and excited for you guys to be able to go through your high school experience in this beautiful new facility. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my production company. I own a video and film production company called Avalanche Studios, and we have a studio right here just down the street in Sandy, Utah. And it's a really fun, exciting business to be in with a lot of potential and a lot of opportunities. So if any of you have been considering going into the film or video industry, it's got a bright future. There's just a lot of opportunity to do just about any type of thing that you want to do in the film and video industry. So before we get too much into it, I just wanted to show a quick demo video. This is like a highlight reel of a bunch of things that we have done over the last few years. So let's go ahead and roll that video, Mason. Alright, so you can see from that, what we do in our company is we film all kinds of stuff. We make TV shows, documentaries, we do a lot of TV ads, branding, commercials, pretty much any kind of video that a company could use. We do the whole thing. We do all phases of production. And it's a really fun business to be in because you're not stuck in an office, you're not sitting in a cubicle all day, you're out and about, and you're doing, you travel, you go out and you meet with people, you're casting actors, you're scouting locations, you're on set with camera crews while you're filming. Then you spend some time back in edit bays while you're doing the finishing and stuff like that. And so there's a lot of variety to the job. So my typical day is not just going in an office and sitting there for 8 or 10 hours and looking at a computer. And sometimes we get to come back to our old high school and give a presentation, so that's good too. But I've been asked to talk a little bit about my career path and how I ended up in this business. So when I was in high school at Brighton, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I did take an accounting class. I thought maybe I'd go into business or something. And when I went to the University of Utah, I started out with my major, just business. I thought I was going to get my MBA and maybe go into business somehow. But after a couple of years of that, I was taking a statistics class. And I don't know if you guys know what statistics are, but when I was in that class, I thought, if this is what I have to do for the rest of my life, I think I'm going to go crazy. And so I thought, I'm going to switch my major to something that I like. And I had to think about, well, what do I like? And all I really liked at that time was sports. I loved sports. And I thought, what job could I have if I'm not going to be in the NBA or in the NFL? what's a job that's related to that? And I thought, I want to be the sports guy on ESPN. I want to be the sports guy on the news. And so I switched my degree to broadcast journalism. And that's where you learn how to write news, learn how to film and edit news stories. And I got to be like the anchorman on the U of U closed circuit TV production that they have. And so through that experience, I got my hands on cameras, and we had to go out and interview people and film stuff and edit little news stories that we put together that we showed for the news. And so then I went through that process at the U, and I graduated, and that's pretty much my only experience I'd had with cameras and editing. And I was interviewing for jobs, trying to find one, and during that process, after I graduated, my uncle came to me and said, "What are you doing with your life?" And I said, "Well, I'm trying to, ESPN's not hiring me for some reason, but I'm just looking for a job. I just did this internship where we made a video for this company." And he's like, "You can make a video?" I said, "Well, yeah, I made one." And he's like, "Well, I need a video for my company that that basically promotes this new product that I have. Can you make that video?" And this was back in the 1990s when people didn't have as much capability as they do now with video. As far as like on your phone, you guys can do a lot of stuff with video, but back then it was a hot commodity. So I said, "Yeah, I can make a video." So he paid me money, and I made this video for him, and it was probably the worst video I've ever made. But he paid me, and it worked for his business. And after I did that, I thought, you know what? There's probably other businesses who need this service as well. So I started researching it, looking into it, and I thought, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start my own video production company. And my wife thought I was crazy. She said, "What are you doing? Can't you just go get a real job?" And I said, "I think we can make this work." So I started a little production company, and I still had a part-time job on the side just to make sure I was making some money. And my wife had a full-time job. And it took about 3 years of working that little business to get it to the point where I could quit my part-time job and my wife could quit her job, and it was supporting us. So it took a while to get it going. But since then, it's been the best thing. It's been the best thing ever. Having your own company, and especially being involved in the film and video industry, it's so much fun. And I would recommend it to anybody. If you're looking to get into this industry, there's a lot of, like I said before, there's a lot of opportunity. So one thing I was asked to talk about is the obstacles. What are the obstacles to getting into the film and video industry? Some people might say it's education. You could go to college and you could get a degree in film or media arts or something like that, and that's a little bit of an obstacle, but if you can go to college and get trained in this area, that's great, but you don't have to. There's a lot of people I know who didn't go to college and they just started creating content. Like, you can start right now. Every one of you has a camera on your phone right now. You can start videotaping stuff. You can tell stories. You can create content right now using the equipment that you have available to you. With a phone and a computer, you can create some amazing stuff. And that's the way you get good at anything, is you just practice. You got to do it over and over and over. If you want to be a video producer, you got to just start shooting video, editing it, and creating and telling stories. If you want to be a writer, you need to just get Microsoft Word or whatever, Google Docs, start writing stuff. You got to write. There's that rule that says you got to become an expert of something, you got to spend 10,000 hours in that thing before you become an expert. And the only way you're going to get good at something is you just got to put in the work, the time, and the effort. And so that's what I would recommend that you do. Early in my career, when I was first trying to find clients and to make a name for myself and grow my little business, there was one thing I found that really worked. And the first thing was, if you treat people right, and if you take care of people, and if they come to you and say, "Hey, I've got this project I want to do, can you do it?" If you treat them right and take care of it, and you show up on time, you do everything you say you're going to do, and then you do a good job, then you'll have success. So the first thing is you treat people right, make sure they have a good experience. And that's what we are really focused on at Avalanche Studios. When a client comes to us, they're entrusting us to take care of their project, to create their ad or their show or their project, and to help them have a good experience throughout the whole thing. So that means you gotta answer their phone calls, respond to their emails, show up on time, do everything you say you're gonna do. That's really key. And if you do that, it's surprising how just those little things can go so far in establishing trust with a client. So that's a principle that can work in any business. If you can do those things, you can be successful. The second part of that is you got to be good at what you do. And so in the film and video world, you got to know your stuff. You got to practice, research, get training, get education, stay abreast of all the new trends and styles and techniques. And so we work on that too, making sure that all of our editors and our camera guys and everybody involved on our team are ready to go and have all the right skills. So we try to just hire the very best people so that it's reflected in the storytelling that ends up on the screen. So if you can have those two things, treat people right and then be the best at what you do, then you can have success in just about any field, not just the film and video world. So one thing, they've asked me to talk a little bit about the aspects of work. So, great. So when people ask about what's the video production process, what does it look like? The way it works is you basically divide it into 3 areas. Before you go out and film something, you have to do some pre-production work. That's where you figure out what's the concept, what's the idea we're gonna do, and then you have to write a script. And then you gotta figure out, well, who's gonna be in this video? That's casting, you gotta find your actors, you gotta find your locations. There's a whole bunch of work that has to be done before you ever turn the camera on. Once you turn the camera on and you have your production day, that's the production part of it. That's where everybody shows up on set. You've got your camera operators, you've got your makeup artists, you have all your actors show up, and the whole team shows up ready to film what you need to do. Once you're done filming stuff, you take all the footage back to the editing bay, and that's when the post-production process begins. That's all the editing, putting in the music, the visual effects, the special effects, finishing the project, and then delivering it to your client. And so that's kind of the process that we go through to create anything that you saw on the screen in our demo reel. And like I said, it's a fun business because all of those aspects are so different and so varied, and you're not just stuck at a cubicle all day. But I know my time's running short. I just want to encourage you, if any of you are thinking about getting into the film and video industry, you can, and you have the tools to do it right now on your phone. Get started. It's also good to find a good mentor, find a good either a production company or someone who is an expert in a certain area that you want to explore, and try to learn and grow your skills from them. But I think my time's up, but I just want to thank you guys for having me out, and go Bengals.
Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Hannah Hilton. I'm a physical therapist. I graduated from Brighton High School in 2012, so 10 years ago, which really hurts, just because it doesn't seem like it was that long ago. So I went to the University of Utah after high school. I got my bachelor's degree in health promotion and education, and I did that with an emphasis in emergency medical services, and then I minored in disability studies, and then I continued at the University of Utah and got my doctorate degree in physical therapy. My husband and I both came to Brighton High School. We just moved out to South Jordan a couple months ago. We were able to buy a house. We bought 3 cats, but one of them is my brother-in-law's, so I'm not a crazy cat lady. So I'll just kind of talk about why I got into physical therapy. In high school, I did HOSA with Pruden. Yeah, there she is. And I loved participating in that. I was able to compete in nationals. I was in the class presidency for HOSA, so I got to go to Disneyland one year and Disney World another year, which was really fun. So I always knew I wanted a career in healthcare. And when I was in college, I was bouncing between nursing and being a paramedic. And then I talked to my brother, and he was like, what do you think about being a physical therapist? Because our mom is a physical therapist, but I wanted to, make my own way, so I hadn't really given much thought to it, but I went and met with a counselor to figure out what I needed, and I ended up really loving it and decided that that's what I wanted to do. So something that was really beneficial that PT requires at the U is that you go to a meeting and get an overview of the program, what requirements there are. And so that was really helpful because it helped me figure out what classes I needed to take. And with any occupation in healthcare, like dentistry or nursing, pre-med, a lot of the classes cross over. So I had been taking a lot of the classes that were required. And so ended up deciding to do that. I only applied to the 2 schools that were in Utah because my husband was completing his bachelor's degree at the U, and so we didn't want to move out of state. And thankfully, I got into the University of Utah. So I started that program, and it was 3 years. It was back-to-back semesters, so we didn't take summers off, didn't have breaks. And when we were in school, we did a year, 3 semesters of didactic work, that's the book work, and then we went out for a semester, got to participate in clinical internships where we were actually working as physical therapists, went back for another year and did didactic work, and then our last 2 semesters we spent doing internships. We did 3 separate internships, and that was really beneficial just because physical therapy, there's so many avenues that you can take. There's like what you think about, you hurt your shoulder and you go to PT, so there's orthopedic, there's acute, inpatient, outpatient, geriatric, pediatric, neuro, even pelvic floor health, which isn't something that people think about. So it was really good because it just gave us a good, helped us be well-rounded so we knew what we wanted to do. So that really helped me figure out where I wanted to be. And then just going back to getting into school, having a really good GPA is important. So even like general education classes, you want to make sure that you're focusing and studying hard, because those seem kind of silly, but they affect your GPA. And then different classes require volunteer hours or the GRE, which is like an adult ACT. Not as many classes require that, but that was something we had to do. So now that I'm working, I just graduated last year in 2021, so I've only been working as a PT for a year. So I'm at Sandy Aquatics and Physical Therapy, and then they're also connected to a skilled nursing facility. So I spend half of my time in outpatient and half of my time in skilled nursing, which I really like because I love working with geriatric patients, with older adults, and so it's really nice because I kind of get the best of both worlds. So with skilled nursing patients, they are people who have had a functional decline, they were sick, and they need some additional help. We also do joint replacements, stroke, Parkinson's disease, spinal cord injuries. So I get to do a lot of different aspects of physical therapy all in one place. And with that, we're focusing on helping them being able to learn how to walk again, just figuring out how to get in and out of bed or safely get to the bathroom. So it's more general, broad tasks. And then with outpatient physical therapy, I absolutely love water, so it's really cool. I get to be in the water with patients. And so we're using the properties of water to help benefit our patients and rehab them. With those patients, we see joint replacements, a lot of back pain, people who have balance issues, they're able to safely practice balance in the water, pain management, stuff like that. Something that I love about my job is that I get to help people and I get to make them feel better. So with outpatient, I do a lot more hands-on physical therapy. I do joint mobilizations on their shoulder or their spine, soft tissue mobilization, help stretch out tight muscles or tight joint capsules. So I have people come in and say, I'm really hurting here, and then I'm able to work on them and they can get in the water and really participate in physical therapy. So that's something that's really, really rewarding. I also love that I get get to make personal connections with my patients. You're with them for 45 minutes to an hour or more, 2 times a week for 6 to 12 weeks or more, so you get to know them face to face, and you don't always get that in other aspects of medicine. So that's something else that I really love. And then just getting to be in the water, again, is something that I really enjoy. And then something else is just having to think on your feet while you're working. The biggest answer and the most common answer we got in school was "it depends." And it was really frustrating because you just want a straightforward answer. But when you're working as a physical therapist and you have someone say, "I can't move my shoulder," you have to figure out why. Is it because their shoulder hurts? Did they have an injury? Did they damage something? Do they just have weakness, or they just don't have the range of motion? So I have to use my clinical judgment to really figure out what's going on with them. So it's very active. I'm constantly thinking. And then that also moves on. That's just the evaluation part. But then moving on to the treatment, a patient says, "This is too easy. How can I make it harder for them?" Or "It's too hard. How can I make it easier? How can I modify it?" And then just creating goals with them and really figuring out what they want to work on and then helping them progress towards that. So that's just an overview of what I do. Last thing, the biggest piece of advice I would give you is to really focus on volunteering. I think it's really important as students, as a professional, to give back to your career and give back to your community. It's really beneficial because it can help you get into, you might be able to volunteer and find something that you end up loving that you wouldn't have tried. So like being in HOSA was really helpful because it got me out and volunteering and participating in the community. So that's my biggest piece of advice, is take advantage of those opportunities, and hopefully you'll find what you want to do. So that's it.
All right, I'm gonna bring it home. When I woke up this morning, decided what to wear. I decided to put on the Adobe mullet. I work for Adobe. This is the Adobe mullet, so they call it the mullet because it's party on bottom and business on top. You got your jacket, If you need to take off a t-shirt, or take off your jacket, you have a t-shirt underneath, and you can just like cruise out to after work things. So, yeah. You might know my daughters. They go to Brighton. Chesney and Marley? Chesney Eisen, Marley Eisen? Yeah, cool. Okay, so I hate my title, Principal Expert Solution Consultant for Adobe Data and Insights. What does that even mean? And I hate the word expert because it makes it sound like I know a lot. So, all right, let's talk about, I had a gazillion things going through my head over there, and I'm trying to organize them. So like 5 things I want to talk about. Going from high school to college, kind of the career path, like what does it look like? I think I heard 2 different styles over here. One was I graduated from high school and had no idea what I wanted to do for a long time. Like I think Dave kind of fit in that category. And Hannah was like, "No, I'm going to do this. I'm super focused. We're going to do this thing." And I think people fall into generally 2 categories. I have a lot of friends who fell into Hannah's category. I fell into Dave's category, where I was like, no clue what I want to do. Also, I'm left-handed, and that means I'm right-brained. And if you believe in the brain science, it means that like there's a lot going on over here, like a whole bunch of disorganization. So for me to organize, it took a long time. Needless to say, at Brighton, I struggled a lot. Like, I'm going to be completely transparent. I did not do well in school at all. Like, not well at all. The joke was that I graduated from Brighton Ski Resort, not Brighton High School. So anyway, you get it. But what I did was I got a buckle down right after school, right after graduation. I basically went straight into college. Went to Salt Lake Community College. got a year under my belt, took a couple years off of school, came back, went to LDS Business College for a year and a half or so, and by that time I was like, my brain had developed maybe enough where I was super, super focused on school. I could sit in class for a couple hours at a time and crush school. And so I had like a 3.9 GPA from LDS Business College, which was a far cry from what I did in high school. So I guess the message that I want to send is if you're not doing well, there's hope. There's hope. And the cool thing is you can get help now. I didn't get help. Brighton was gigantic when I went here. It was like 3,600 students. I sort of got lost. So if you're feeling lost, I think like you can get help. Also, there are way better programs out there for study skills. Like you guys have Flex. I talk to my daughters about how to use Flex all the time. They don't listen, but you guys have Flex, which is really awesome for study. In college, study time, like study hall, was the way that I crushed college. I would go to the library and just study like for hours, and it was awesome because everybody else is studying. So that's an awesome skill. Another awesome skill for college: test taking skills. In high school I had no idea how to take tests. In college I learned how to take tests. There's a process, and there's a statistical method to taking tests where you have a statistical advantage. So learn those skills. Those are super important to doing well in college. All right, so just quick, I went to Brighton, solid community college, LDS Business College, graduated with an associate degree in business general with a 3.9 GPA, and all of a sudden, this was so crazy, all the schools in the state were like, hey, come to my school. Utah State, Utah, BYU, they were like, hey, you can come to school here, you did really well. So I went to BYU. I got a degree in advertising, which was a super, super fun degree, a little akin to what Dave does now. Super fun degree, got to exercise both sides of my brain. So you see in my method, I'm starting to figure out by the time I'm in college, like what is going on with Jordan's brain? How does it work best? And how do I have fun? How do I do what I love and do really well at it? And so this sort of somewhat organized person who needs to be creative needed to do advertising because that's what worked for me. And then I went to work after college. After I graduated from BYU, I went to work, and it took me another 8 years to figure out what I wanted to do. And then I went to Utah and got a graduate degree in a master's degree in information systems. Whoa, like information systems, what is that? And that's how I ended up at Adobe. So here's kind of the career trajectory. 96, I graduate high school. 2004, I graduate college. 2012, I graduate with a graduate degree. Long time later. And then I went to work for Adobe. So quick day in the life at Adobe. So I wake up, lots of flexibility. This is a super cool thing about my job. My Aunt Chris was out here somewhere. She's like, tell them you ski 50 days a year. I ski 50 days a year. And I still work full time. And I still have a lot of free time. So I wake up every morning, I work out, usually 4 or 5 days a week. I work out, like to lift heavy things. Deadlift, squat, Olympic stuff, pull-ups, you name it, I love it. Also go to Orange Theory, so I do that. And then I don't put on my Adobe mullet unless I'm traveling. So if I'm traveling, I go get on an airplane, and I go to New York or San Francisco or LA or Seattle or someplace where my clients are. Otherwise, I roll out of bed and I put these in my ears, and I take out my phone and I dial into a conference call, like Teams or Zoom or something like that, and I get talking, and we talk about business. Sorry, we talk about Adobe Data and Insights. And so the thing I chose to do for my career, which like balanced the crazy right brain person that I am with all the ideas and all the creativity with my like need for facts and organization and like knowing stuff, was data and insights. And data is what I do every day. So that means that I'm a total nerd. Like I don't wear glasses, but I'm a complete nerd at work every day. That's all I do is nerd out on data. So here's what the job is. Every single brand you're wearing right now, everything, all the shoes, the clothing brands, the stores you shop at, the hotels you stay at, the airlines you fly on, the iPhones and Androids that are in your pocket, every single one of those companies hires Adobe. For stuff like video production, creative like Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, all those products, but also for marketing. And all of the marketing tools that they use to do automation, to do like personalization on their websites, to develop their apps, all those tools, they hire Adobe for those, and all of those tools collect data all day, every day. Your iPhone is collecting data in the background and pumping it back into Adobe, and then our customers look at that data, so that's like Marriott, Delta, Nike, Apple, Microsoft, keep naming companies. They all hire us, they all have our products, and I work with them every day. In fact, I'm gonna leave here, I'm gonna go get on the phone with Disney Parks. And Disney Parks is using Adobe's, you have the Disneyland app or the Disney World app, they're collecting data in the background. And the data is not so they can spy on you. The data is so that they can give you the best possible experience. They can figure out why you tapped that instead of that, and why you went this direction to book your Disney Parks tickets instead of that direction. Like a designer, full-time job, designed this path so you could click the booking button to say, book Disneyland tickets. And this is a very specific path, and you went this way, and they want to know why. And that's all they want to know. That's their whole job, and so I help them figure out why with the data. So, and the data's super nerdy, but it's really cool. There's a lot going on behind the scenes that you guys never see, and that's what I do every day. So, I'm gonna kind of cap off the career path trajectory is, I think what I wanted to say is, if you don't have to go, there's not a straight line career path for some people. For some people there is. My buddy Brad, he graduated from Brighton too, about the same year as me. He wanted to be a doctor his whole life, and he is a doctor today. Like that was his thing, he was gonna be a doctor, and he's a doctor. For me, it took 12, 13, 14 years after high school to figure out what I wanted to do. And then the cool thing is I found a job that allows me a bunch of flexibility in my time for me to be a total nerd, but also work out every single day, ski 50 days a year, and tote around a camera when I want to like go have fun, and I take pictures for fun too. So I don't think there's a straight line necessarily, and you don't have to know exactly what you want to do right away. And like I took the hard way through college. I took the hard way to get a graduate degree. I went to Salt Lake Community College, LDS Business College, BYU, and then Utah. I finally got it right at the very end by going to Utah joke. Okay, so yes, there's not a straight line. Find what you love, and if it takes time, that's okay. Also, the last thing I want to say, besides definitely test-taking skills, definitely study skills, figure out like what your brain likes. There's not one career for your brain, or physical. Like if you need to be physical, like if you need to build stuff, if you need to create things, there are lots of things to be created in this world. So figure out what you really, really, really love, and just get really, really, really good at that. So that's it. That's what I wanted to say, and I'm handing off the mic.
Thanks to all of our speakers today. We appreciate you taking the time to inspire us to start thinking about our own career path. Students, if you want a chance at a prize drawing, your teachers have a link for you to complete a very short survey about today's event. Thanks again.